Hey guys, so I wanted to go ahead and do a little kind of like talking video with you guys and kind of just talk to you guys about my concept and how I came up with it for the video I had just released, Delude, for my past piece that I had done. And so I kind of just wanted to like give you key points as far as, like I said, like concept, choreography, like how I came up with it, the motivation behind it, the inspiration, all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that, keep watching. Inspiration, how I kind of go about finding it and how I found it for this piece is, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the apps called Pinterest and We Heart It, but I absolutely love those and I always go to those for any kind of inspiration, like when it comes to anything. So I like to go through, and even on my off time, even when I'm not looking to choreograph a piece, I'll save stuff to a certain kind of like album, and it'll be like inspiration or like what I'm kind of feeling the mood for that piece and whatnot. And what I do is I kind of like go off of artistic pictures or poems or stuff like that, and it kind of like gives me a vibe for like how I want to set the tone for that piece. So for this past one, I had came across some few pictures that I absolutely like just fell in love with. The artwork was just so different, and there's this one picture I found where it's a piece of art, but it's like somebody's grabbing something and like holding it, but it's like a head, and the way it's wrapped is just, it looks really cool, and it just kind of like inspired me in some sense. I'm not sure how, but it did. I also took a class this past my last semester at Lovee called Dance Aesthetics, and in that class we kind of had to break down art and whatnot, and like in a positive manner, like it wasn't like a critique type of way, but just kind of like how it spoke to us. And I hadn't come across this picture, and so I talked about it, and I can like put like a screenshot of like what I had broke it down to, but I don't know, it just like spoke to me so well. So I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna use this somehow, shape, way, or form in the piece that I'm choreographing. So I also love horror movies, and with that I wanted to kind of like give the piece that eerie feel and very kind of like dark and mysterious, but still kind of like go for not too dark, you know what I mean? So like it was kind of like trying to find that line and like that foundation and whatnot. So one of my favorite movies is Silent Hill, and so I used a lot of the scenes as inspiration for movement and, like I said, tonality of the piece and whatnot. So for example, the part where Georgia is dancing in the middle and we're all kind of like creeping in onto her, that's kind of like inspired from the nurse scene in that movie, and I just kind of really love that part, and it matched so well with what I'm going for and the concept, so I put that part in. Another part, kind of like with the costumes with the shirts on our heads, that's from the Pyramid Head. The character was just, it was like he played such a big role and literally didn't even say anything the whole movie, but like that's kind of like the feeling that I kind of wanted to play into our characters. Is the dancers of that piece is kind of like playing that thing where you literally don't have to say anything and it can speak volumes of like what you're doing. And also the shirts on our heads are supposed to signify, they signify a lot, so that's kind of like supposed to be your subconscious. And so if you see in parts where like the intro or like in different parts of the movement when their hands are creeping up on you, it's kind of like, and they're behind you, that's like your subconscious, the part that you're trying not to think about, but it's like it's always there, and like you're trying to not think about this person, this thing, this idea, something, and it's just creeping up on you, and throughout the piece it just consumes you. And so like I said, the part when we're going in, coming in closer to Georgia, that's all of her, everything she's been trying to mentally run away from, just like creeping in on her and like about to consume her, when boom, like we go into the next scene, and that's when it's kind of like a different story at that point. That's when Malik and I start dancing, so it's like a different perspective from a different person. Also, like at the beginning, I have Annika. She starts off the piece and it's kind of like with her and Amadeus both have the shirts on their heads, and that's supposed to signify kind of like for her being blind and like not seeing this person for what they truly are and whatnot, but it's also like her being blinded by her subconscious at the same time. Amadeus is kind of like that thing that's just stuck there in the back of her head, but she's like trying to move around it, act like it's not there, and she thinks about it so much that she conjures him up and she brings him to life, and she brings that idea to life. So then that's when he starts dancing, it's brought to life, and then throughout the whole piece it's kind of like signifying that you know, that's how she's trying to deal with this. How is she trying to deal with this? How is Georgia trying to deal with this? Malik, Lonnie, you know, like different dancers, like how they're trying to deal with this part of their subconscious or this part of the person in their life that's kind of like consuming them, and how they're dealing with that. So as far as the music goes, I went about finding the music for this piece is I go to SoundCloud and this app called 8 Tracks. I don't use 8 Tracks as much anymore just because they changed their whole thing to now you can only listen to an hour a day of music, and that was horrible because I used to listen to 8 Tracks for like literally hours upon hours, like 8-9 hours, different music artists and whatnot. What that is, 8 Tracks is, it's kind of like this app where people put playlists together depending on their mood or what they think. Like if you like this artist then you'll like these, but these are playlists made by people, so it's not necessarily like solely just Spotify or solely Pandora, you know what I mean? It's kind of like Pandora, SoundCloud, and Spotify all mixed together because they mostly focus on underground artists, which I love to dance to. I'm not really like a mainstream type of person when it comes to music, and even more so when it comes to choreography. So those are the two apps that I use. I love SoundCloud. I always create playlists of songs that I might think I'd want to choreograph to. So like I have this playlist called Maybe Choreo, and I'll just put songs that I feel like I like and whatnot into there. And then whenever I'm stuck or I hit a wall and I can't find music, I'll go into that playlist and like listen, see if I can find a song that fits what I'm trying to do. And so for this piece specifically, I had found Reconsider a long time ago, I think like 4 years ago, and I had to put it in my iPad and kind of just like always listen to it but forgot about it. And I came across it when I was looking for music for this piece, and I fell in love with it all over again. So definitely used that. I used a slowed version of it as well, and Omega by Vince Jordan, which is the opening and closing part. I didn't even come across that song until the end, like right before I thought I was almost done. I was like, there's something missing, and then I found that song, and I found that one by kind of going through songs like from Bon Iver and James Blake. I love both of them, and so like I was kind of like looking, researching for hours. It takes me a long time to find like the music that I really like, but definitely I would just say just keep researching. If you're interested, start with an artist you like and then kind of go out and branch from there. Also, because I don't like I said, to dance to a mainstream song or whatnot, I like to mix my music. So I mix it with GarageBand. Really simple. Like I like to kind of like mix the flow and the tonality so it's not one consistent vibe the whole time. And I did that with Delude, and so the mix that you hear for the entire piece, even the first song for the intro, I had mixed and played with that a little bit as well. For the movement, I kind of, what I do is I put on another song and then I improv to that song. Then I put on the song that I want to dance to, and then I try and put that movement to that song. And the reason why I do that is just so I don't get tired of it, one, and two, because that way I'm more keen to the sense of like new sounds in the song that I will be using. Because if you use it too much, then you kind of just don't really like hear maybe a certain beat that's in a certain place because you kind of like get bored with it. So basically the movement, like I said, it's derived from like Silent Hill, like parts in Silent Hill, and like that weird creepy like eerie feeling. That's kind of, I asked my dancers to embody that, and I would show them certain parts from the movie and kind of just like so they had an idea. Also, I got movements from like Saw, and basically how I did that is kind of like one time we were at rehearsal and I had them, there's this part where we come up from the ground and they have their hands here, and I asked them to turn and open and kind of like arch back. And so I didn't want it so much like placed and like pretty, I wanted it very like open and sporadic and like a reaction rather than just like a movement. So I was talking to them and I was like, you guys have seen Saw, right? And they were like, yeah, blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, you know that part where like the things are in her ribs and then it just opens and you know like everything comes out and stuff, and they're like, yeah. And they were kind of confused because it had nothing to do with what we were doing. And then I was like, yeah, so that's kind of the feeling that I want with this movement. It's like boom, like just open. And they were like, what? Like only you say that. But kind of like after I said that though, like all of them hit that specifically how I wanted it. And it's kind of just like I said, the movement kind of just came from that. Like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with Saw or nothing like that, but it's kind of just the way I described the movement to them. That was also with the tone of like, that's how you feel sometimes with these people who come into your life and kind of take something from you and you're not sure what it is, you're not sure where it's coming from or whatnot, but sometimes it's just like that vulnerable piece that you just didn't even know you had until it's gone. And like that's the feeling that it's supposed to signify. So stuff like that, that's kind of like how I got, like how I said that I was inspired by like my favorite horror movies and stuff like that. I think you should find inspiration for your art in any way, shape, or form. That's kind of how I do it. I'm a movie fanatic too, so like it's just, it tied in so well. Also kind of just stemming off from the movement as well. Like I said, when their shirts are over their head, it's supposed to signify them being like blind to what that person's doing to you or whatnot. And also it's also supposed to signify that part of your subconscious that you're kind of like trying so hard to suppress. So in the intro video, when they are when it's just me and Malik in the beginning, how his hands creep up, that's kind of like I said, how it feels when you're first meeting somebody. You're not quite sure where it's gonna go, how it's gonna feel, whatnot, and then it just consumes you. So from there, that's how I kind of like, I really wanted to set the tone of the piece with that. How I got the idea for that is I was researching this company about like 3 years ago, Stephen Petronio, and he had did a trailer for one of his upcoming concerts and seasons because he has a dance company, and they literally blew my mind away. They move with like gold dripping from them, and like the way they did it was just like breathtaking. And like I said, it was kind of like a trailer for his season, which I thought was amazing. Like I had never seen something so like beautiful and artistic for something for dance like that. So I wanted to make something like that as well. The idea popped back into my head, like I said, a few years later when I was doing this piece, and I kind of was really inspired by that, but I wanted it to still maintain that dark feel. So I wanted to play with like black paint, but I wanted to signify like ink and like kind of like I said in the quote, when you meet somebody, you're unaware of the way that their soul will leak onto yours. And I kind of definitely just wanted to provide that visual of like when you're meeting somebody and his hands are dripping, like that's literally how it feels. And you don't know, but that's like the physical form of what's happening when you're meeting someone and getting to like know them. And anybody, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, you know, people in general, they have that effect on you. And I really wanted to show how that would look like if we were able to see it. So I definitely played with that. The videographer definitely captured it exactly how I was wanting it to look, and the editing and everything he did was perfect. I came up with the way I wanted the scenes to go, and I kind of like told him the breakdown, and from there he kind of just edited it and took it away. Like it was great. I love the way it came out. The dancers all did such a good job with embodying that feel, and so I told them that when you're basically being bathed in somebody else's persona, person, soul, vibe thing, you know, there's different ways you can react to it. So you can try, and if it's not suiting you, try and like take it off, right? So you're trying to get away from that person, you're trying to like not have that be on you, and so you're trying to rub it off, but of course it's just making it rub in deeper or spreading it versus taking it off. So it's kind of like a person, you know what I mean? Or you can just bathe in it and like fully love it, which some of them did, and then, or you could just be kind of stuck, like you don't know how to react to it, and you're kind of just like, what is this? Like, why am I here? Like, why is this here on me? And that's all, like I said, different ways that people react to meeting someone new and like all of that stuff, and the other side of it, and like what you're left with once that person leaves, kind of thing, you know? So definitely wanted to show that. And lastly, for the costumes, they're distressed because the tops are distressed because I was wanting to go for the feeling of course it's not perfect, like nothing is perfect, this is you like fighting this thing, so of course everything's distressed, it's how you feel inside. And I kind of wanted, like I said, when the shirts are over their head, what that's supposed to signify, but I didn't want like a leotard showing, but I did want tights. So I had them wear either like high-waisted dancer underwears or stuff like that under the tights, so that way you still had the stomach showing at that part, because I just wanted it to be more like human versus dance. I didn't want somebody to watch it and be like, oh, they're wearing leotards, like cool. I wanted it to just look like a costume, like look like people on stage going through something and you're watching it. And so that's kind of how I wanted to embody that, and I definitely got that feeling and that vibe. And so, like I said, it was great. I loved it. I loved the entire process from start to finish. It was very hard because this was my longest piece I've ever done in my life, but and I think this is the most people I've ever worked with, and plus including that I was in it as well, so that was hard, trying to see it from the outside, make corrections, fix everything, but still be in it, but still do placements. Like that part was hard, but definitely I would do it over again. Love this piece. I want to say thank you guys for showing the love and support that you guys have been for this piece. It really means a lot to me. If you guys can continue sharing it and whatnot, that would be great. And if you guys like videos like this, thumbs up the video, so that way I know to keep doing kind of like breakdowns of my mindset and how I get to make these choreography pieces, and like kind of like the background and like how I do it, how I find it and whatnot. So yeah, if you guys like it, give it a thumbs up. Follow me on social media if you like, at L.Jay Love with 2 E's. Snapchat is Dreamboat with 2 E's and 2 A's. And I'm on Facebook too. I'll go ahead and link everything down below too. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comments for sure. I love to read them and get back to you guys. And like I said, if you guys like more videos of this, let me know, and I will definitely go ahead and do more like talk through videos with you guys, kind of like breaking down the whole process. And yeah, so thanks guys so much, and hope to see you soon. Right.